Let's get into our first debate, which is tangential, really. Starmer, can he carry on as Prime Minister? Give us a call now. Yesterday, big news at Westminster. Morgan McSweeney quit as Starmer's Chief of Staff. They've been absolutely in harness, the two of them, for years. He says he takes full responsibility for Mandelson's appointment. McSweeney didn't oversee the vetting process, but he did recommend Mandelson for the role of US ambassador. His resignation may take some of the heat off, but many are saying no, that in the end, Starmer's Prime Minister, he's responsible. There's no point this character saying he's not running the country. Kemi Badenoch says Starmer's position is untenable. What about this, Samuel? Can Starmer cling on?
Look, I think he can, but I think this points to the political ineptitude of the current Labour administration. There is no Keir Starmer as leader without Morgan. There is no Keir Starmer as leader of the Labour Party. There's no Keir Starmer as Prime Minister without Morgan. He is the most consequential person in that group or in that team. And so this is a huge loss for Keir Starmer. I don't agree with this idea that somehow it was the vetting is the reason why Lord Mandelson ended up as the US ambassador, because clearly everybody could see that this guy was compromised. He was friends with a pedo. After this person was, Epstein was jailed and released from jail, Lord Mandelson still stayed in his house. And somehow people believed in number 10 that he was the right man to become the US ambassador. We also knew that these files were going to be released that could potentially compromise lots of people. And so this is an abject failure. Having said all of that, somebody that was involved in a government or a party that consistently changed their leader over a short period of time, I think it's a very dangerous game for Labour to play.
Yeah, because once you change one, you then change them again.
You get a habit for it.
You get in a habit. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. But what do you think? Can Starmer cling on?
I don't think he's going to be leader at the next election. And I think if he's going to go, he might as well do it sooner rather than later. You've got the May elections looming, where they're probably going to get a thumping. His personal ratings are in the toilet. And whether it's winter fuel allowance, his stance on the Middle East, there are so many barriers now in place for voters who might have voted for him before that will not vote for Starmer. And it's really interesting with the Mandelson appointment. At the time, the press was all about Mandelson's stance on China. We all knew then that he was friends with a pedo, and actually that wasn't really the thing. And let's be really clear. It's why he got the job was because he could have Trump's ear, because Trump was also friends with
Because influential. Yeah, but also, and you're right, the papers didn't kick off when Mandelson was appointed and say, oh, wait a minute, what about Epstein?
Yeah, because they're all mates with Mandelson. That's how it works.
And the McSweeney thing, I think, is that actually, although, yes, you're right, you could argue he got him into power, I think this whole Blue Labour thing has been his downfall in the first place. Yeah, because the Keir Starmer of 2020, who said that he would, he pledged all these wonderful things that I stupidly
said
believed.
What you wanted to hear.
Maybe, but yeah.
Well, he had to get elected as Labour leader, you've got to be on the left.
And it's like Islands of Strangers speeches and mirroring Farage. And look where that's got him. Nobody likes Labour.
We've got a call at Jack in Cheshire. Hi, Jack.
Hello. If we go back in time, and I mean, we are going back many years, apparently the rumour is that Peter Mandelson once asked Gordon Brown for 20 pence to call a friend. Gordon Brown apparently offered him 2 20-pence pieces and said, call all your friends. And I think Gordon Brown was on to something then.
Well, hang on. Brown brought him back. It's all very well Brown is now saying he's a terrible person. Yeah. He brought him back and made him de facto Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we've all known for a long time. Any of us, I mean, I've been interested in politics for the best part of 50 years.
Right.
And I'm 62 now, by the way. So, I mean, I've always had a sort of like a little bit of an inkling who was a wrong and who was a right. And I wonder what Harold Wilson would have done in this situation, to be honest with you. But it just seems to me that our MPs overall and PMs have become more and more trustworthy, more and more less trustworthy.
Less and less trustworthy.
Yeah, less and less trustworthy as the years have gone on. Look at that great buffoon, Boris Johnson. He was such a great, everyone's big chum and all this sort of nonsense. And I heard from someone who'd actually worked with him down in Whitehall that he was nothing of the kind. He was actually quite a nasty person. And that's what I was told by someone who didn't get on very well with myself.
Why is
And
Boris
who actually
Johnson
worked with him.
Well, Samuel worked with Boris Johnson.
Why is Boris Johnson catching strays here? Look, this is about Keir Starmer.
Catching strays. Oh, I see. Okay, straight. Yeah, right.
So that's colloquialism for...
Yeah, no, I just like to explain colloquialisms. Yeah, sorry.
Being brought into the argument.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. No, look, this is about Keir Starmer. And I think the reality is he's 8 points behind in the polls. It's not even a midterm yet. It's only 18 months into his administration.
Yeah.
And so he could probably get to a point where in 2 or 3 years' time, there's a tightening which always happens during an election. And a lot of people are going to say, well, do I like Nigel Farage, yes or no? And if the answer is no, there'll be some reluctant people, probably including yourself, who might end up lending Labour their vote.
Yeah,
so I think
Boris Johnson had a little bit of that going on. He thought he can withstand a kind of a push to get him out, and then he had, I think, 3/4 of his ministers resign one morning.
That's not going to happen, though.
I think Labour's main problem is who would take over. There's not that obvious choice. They've just blocked Burnham. I think that's interesting. If that had been now, perhaps Starmer would have had more pressure.
Think about these lefties.
Okay. No, go on.
Okay, so I'm
going to go to the break.
You love the idea of government, but there's no money. So even if Burnham comes in, where's he going to find all this?
That's a very good point, Sam. Okay, thank you, Jack, to our caller. After the break, more calls, please, on whether Starmer can carry on as Prime Minister. It's that serious. McSweeney is gone, his chief advisor. Does the buck stop with Starmer? Should he resign next? Give us a call. We'd love to know. 020 7862 2222 is the number you need. Before the break, we asked, scolionophobia is an irrational fear of what? Scaly animals, school, or sharp bends? And the answer is school. Had a bit of that, did we, back in the day?
Children's Mental Health Week.
Yes, we're going to talk about that later on. Welcome back. We're live on 5 with Jemma and Samuel. Later, we're asking if King Charles should apologise for the Andrew scandal. We've had this breaking news that William and Kate have expressed public concern about Andrew now. First, let's talk about Starmer. Can he carry on as Prime Minister? We'd love your calls. It's not looking good for him. Maybe there's a way of him arguing he should stay. Let's look at what's happened just in the last few weeks. We showed you this Mount Rushmore image last week. This is Prime Ministers ideally want to create this sort of permanence, but they're not right on top of the cliff. Mandelson gets buffeted and he starts jumping up and down, and that causes this incredible downwards force which has the potential to destroy everything Starmer has created. And the extraordinary thing about this scene is, if you look back to the election win, July the 4th, 2024, massive record-breaking majority was only 586 days ago. That is how fast politics moves in the 21st century. What he could do is he could say, look at these 5 characters here. Cameron, May, Johnson, Truss, Sunak. And look how long they were in office for. So Cameron, quite a long time, 6 years, 2 months. By contrast, the next longest in the sequence is Boris Johnson, 3 years, 44 days. Theresa May just a shade over 3 years. Then it gets really short. The second quickest is 1 year, 254 days, Sunak, and then they lost power. And of course, the famous Truss example, only 49 days at number 10. So what Starmer could do is to say this. He could say, look, if you measure from the end of Cameron to the beginning of me, which is what? How many years is that? 8 years. You've had 6 prime ministers in that short time. So when he's closeted with his advisors, now that McSweeney's gone, and they're trying to work out, how do we get out of this? He needs to say, just go on and on and on about that fact. We had 6 prime ministers in 8 years. Do we really want to go Rayner, Burnham, Streeting, kick me out, and start that whole domino effect? And today you've got great evidence that someone's on manoeuvres. So here's Angela Rayner. I don't know how often she actually has cameras in the hairdresser, but there she is. And the Mail says, look who's ready for her close-up. So it's all starting, but maybe that's the argument he should make.
Well, it is the best argument, that kind of stability one, but he personally has completely repelled me. For me, it was comments he made about Gaza at the beginning about cutting off water and that being all right, and it went from there. He would
but
need
not the
to
Mandelson
have,
thing.
Well, I mean, that's just terrible judgment as well as like completely stupid, ridiculous. he would need to have a total change, get new people in, and I would like to see the Starmer of 2020 where he was making pledges I could get on board with. And rather than actually making student debt worse for students, he pledged to help them. So
but as Samuel says, there isn't any money.
Is.
We've borrowed £100 million a day for the last 70 years, this country. Yeah. So you can't give money away to save yourself, can you?
Not money you don't have. But by the way, the image of Keir and his advisors, maybe it's slightly factually inaccurate because two of his two joint chiefs of staff are now women. No women in that
do you know what? I asked AI to do that, and I kept saying, give me women as well as men. And it only gave me men. Isn't that crazy?
Well, this is the problem of AI, right?
Well, yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
It's a really important point you made, Sammy,
But yeah, look, I've never voted Labour, I don't think. Although I think maybe when I was younger, I may have voted for Ken Livingstone when he was mayor. I can't remember though. But I've never consciously voted Labour in my adulthood. But what I would say is that you don't want to be in a business of constantly changing Prime Minister. In addition to that, yes, we all know he probably doesn't stand for too much, but he has a very decisive mandate. And we need to get back to the point where we as a nation respect Prime Ministers who have a mandate. And his mandate is quite significant.
Yeah, massive.
So he should be afforded the space
it is, but you can't
try to deliver
anything you want and go with the you've been democratically elected argument over and over again. See Trump, for instance. And also we've got a very serious time in our history, I think. You've got Farage, there in the wings. His party would want to emulate things like ICE. And I look at what's happening over in the States. And if he gets in, I would not want to live in that type of country.
You don't think he's going to do ICE, do you hear?
ICUK.
Like ICUK with guns and stuff?
And said that they would do something similar.
But this is the point. You get to 2029, Jemma, and you have a choice between Nigel Farage or Keir Starmer. You're voting Labour, regardless of all the things you don't like about him right now. But listen to what you just said.
I might vote for Green.
You would not, because
I might vote Lib Dem.
Do you know why you wouldn't? Because you don't want Nigel Farage. You don't want ICUK.
Okay, let's go to a call. Let's go to a call.
Constantly being the least worst option.
Well, that's how the system works. Stephen in Cheshire, hi.
Good morning, Jeremy, and everybody this morning.
Do you think he can carry on?
I don't think he can carry on. I don't think he will carry on. I think probably looking at a week to 2 weeks. I think he's probably in denial, and it's inevitable, basically. And I think we've got a problem in this country with leadership, good decision making, and good example, and good judgment. And that's the problem with our prime ministers over the past few years. And it doesn't matter whether now the Conservative or Labour. You've made reference to sort of Conservative prime ministers and how many we've had over a short period of time, relatively.
Yeah.
Now, the bottom line is we now lack character, we lack integrity in politics, and we can look back over the past good few decades and look at certain prime ministers. I will throw in a curveball here and say, whether people liked her or not, Margaret Thatcher was respected around the world. Doesn't matter about her politics, whether people agreed with that or not. The fact of the matter is, she was respected around the world.
I guess it's a bit of a different time, the Thatcher period, because you didn't have voters coming back at you on everything. Yeah. So, for example, if Starmer says, right, from now on, we're going to stop the state pension being paid to everyone because we can't afford it, we know that he'll plunge into such unpopularity, he'll have to resign. So it's not just him. The voters won't accept stuff that involves a cost. They just won't.
Well, no, but the bottom line is as well, we're making decisions in this country which go against the entire grain of what's acceptable.
Such as?
We're not having policies which reflect the public will. We're not having policies which reflect the problems we've got and need to address them. We have to have strong leadership which says to the public, this is where we are. This is what needs to be done.
Okay, Stephen,
and
thank you very much.
We have to have some kind of loyalty in this political system to the people who have contributed endlessly throughout their lives to this country.
Let me get another call in. Thank you very much. Carol in Devon, hi.
Hello, Jeremy.
What would you like to say?
Hi. I think he's got to go because he's lost respect, which is a big thing. And authority. He's not got authority over his own party. opposition forget it. But I think he shouldn't be move on before the elections in May. I think their problem is looking who's going to replace him.
Well, yeah. Help me understand, because Angela Rayner's still got a tax inquiry going on.
Yeah.
Shabana Mahmood is too right-wing for her party. Wes Streeting's tangled up in Mandelson.
Yeah.
Andy Burnham's not around.
No, but the thing is, I listened to Diane Abbott this morning.
That's a good show.
She speaks a lot of sense, and they need to have somebody new come forward. There is talent there. I would look at Dan Jarvis, for instance. I mean, he comes across well, actually.
Okay.
I mean, move Starmer on before the elections. I've agented in politics as well, Jeremy. I've been in politics a long time.
Right.
And they need to get their spoke in before the election.
Oh, and Carol, just on that, this thing where we've got, every time a Prime Minister is deposed, they get £160,000 a year for the rest of their life. And we see that with Liz Truss after 49 days. We're treating public money in quite a casual way here, aren't we? Where you think the guy's won an election with the biggest landslide for 100 years, and you want him out after a year and a half.
Well, yeah, because there are other circumstances, aren't there, that come in.
Well,
it's not just the money that he's paid off, is it?
OK, Carol, thank you so much. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on this Keir Starmer carry on as Prime Minister. Should we just say, look, in the end, we've elected this guy. We've got to stick with him for 4 or 5 years. See you shortly. Before the break, we asked what TV memorabilia can you now find in a church in Cambridge. We gave you a TARDIS, an Iron Throne, or a Reliant Robin from Only Fools and Horses. It's the TARDIS. So it's actually on Friday, it was transported to the Zion Baptist Church. It had been in a farmer's field. Its plan is now to restore it to its former glory and have it at services. And the Reverend Jason DeVoe is a Doctor Who fan himself. So lovely. So welcome, Jemma and Samuel are with us. Great to have you with us too. Later we're asking if 18 is too young to drive a train. But now your calls on whether Starmer can carry on as Prime Minister. He's had a turbulent start to the year. How much more of this can he take? 020 7862 2222. Paul is in Cardiff. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Jeremy and the panel.
Is it game over?
I think it's the debacle. It's a joke, even though it's very serious. And me as a British citizen, I'm highly embarrassed at what's going on, the whole circle of things. And I think the ratings have rated Keir Starmer as the worst Prime Minister Britain's ever had.
Well, it has been a trajectory where the Cameron was the worst, then May was the worst, then Boris Johnson was the worst, then Liz Truss was the worst, then Rishi Sunak went below Liz Truss, and now Keir Starmer's gone below Rishi Sunak. So it's partly about how much we hate politicians, that.
Yeah, but the amount of money that's gone into the education for these people, and that's the best we can put out.
Well, you're right. We're not putting out a strong
Start
team.
again.
But maybe good people are in other jobs now. They're making money or they're on TV.
Maybe we should put AI in charge.
I don't know. Paul, I don't know what the solution is, but it's not good, is it?
No, it's terrible.
Thank you, Paul.
I still think Truss is number one. Come on.
Truss?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Keir
terms
number
of-
2. Yeah.
Johnson.
Well, Gordon Brown was the worst Prime Minister of all time when he was in office. When they're in office, they get kicked. Yeah. That's the thing. It's a national pastime. Stephen in Merseyside, do you think it's game over?
Absolutely not, Jeremy. Not only not game over, I think the general public needs to calm down a little bit and stop trying to point the finger at somebody who's not guilty of what another person's done. He's not responsible for those things. And I think to get to the point of this matter is that one of the issues is in this globalization of media and everything else. We've got the likes of Trump, who's in bed with our Prime Minister to give him information on who he wants to appoint for that role. So for the role that he's been doing, he's influenced that. So we've got to stand back and think, well, why is that going on? Why is Trump...
Hang on, I thought you were defending Keir Starmer.
I'm defending, and that's the reason I'm defending him.
Why, though?
Because if you think about it, we've put our Prime Minister in an impossible position because he's got to basically try and run the economy the best he can. All of a sudden, Trump's putting tariffs up, and at the same time, we had to choose somebody who's going to deal with America. And of course, the person that we chose was that person who's caused all the problems, Mr. Peter Mandelson. Now, of course, Mr. Peter Mandelson.
Samuel come in. Samuel.
Yeah, Stephen, I agree with you to an extent, but there were other candidates, including seasoned diplomats, including one George Osborne, who were in that long list. I think I agree with you to an extent. I don't think he should go because of this, but this does call into question his judgment. You should not need a chief of staff, other advisors, for you to see the problems ahead if you were to put Lord Mandelson in the role that it did. So I think his judgment is called into question. I'm not sure he's going to improve as a Prime Minister in terms of his own personal judgment, in terms of how he puts people in positions and how he manages the economy and all those other things. Having said that, I think, he's got a mandate and it's far too soon to get rid of him.
Okay,
so I agree with you to an extent.
Thank you so much. Bridget in Cheshire, hi.
Hello.
Lots of Cheshire today. How are you, Bridget?
I'm not too bad, Jeremy. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Is it game over for this Prime Minister?
I think he probably should resign, yeah. I think he's got poor judgment and, he needs to be, we want someone decent, don't we? A decent person. And I think Ed Davey's a nice, decent man.
Oh, blimey. We're going to get the Lib Dems in. I'm not sure that's going to work at the moment. But he is a decent... I always think Starmer is probably a decent person, but that's neither here nor there in politics.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter's a decent person. He's, one of the worst presidents they ever had. So...
He's just not a very good politician.
It's like they came in after the Tories promising to clean up politics, and then you put Mandelson in as the envoy. And to go back to what I said before, because he was linked to Trump, because they're both wrong-uns, because they were both, hanging out with Epstein. And
do you think he had that thought? He thought, I'm going to put Mandelson in because Mandelson knows Epstein and Epstein knew Trump.
Yeah, because they're like
That's terrible.
They've got the same circles, and then we might get a trade deal. So there's some sort of logic there.
Keir is just not a good politician. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
he might be a man who has some integrity, sure, but he's not showing it because he's just politically inept.
Also, I feel like the world isn't stressed out enough. Like anybody who's gone through some of the Epstein files is like living in a kind of horrific alternate universe.
I tried to, but it's just 3 million things have dropped.
I know, but some of the stuff that I've read, like Trump should be impeached today. Something in the world is not working, and it's really sinister and really horrific.
But I saw Trump is mentioned more times in the Epstein files than Harry Potter is in the Harry Potter books. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't. He's an influential person. I need to make up my mind about it. I don't see many Trump headlines compared to the ones about Andrew and Mandelson.
No, not at all.
But that's because I'm looking at the British news.
But this is why politics does need to be cleaned up. Whoever comes in, and none of it's ideal, has to have some integrity.
OK, we've got lots of calls, so we'll take some more after the break. Can Starmer carry on as PM? Then we'll ask if King Charles should apologise for Andrew. Again, Epstein has sort of brought the establishment crashing down here, hasn't he? Victims are asking Charles to apologise. Is it just too late? Or do you think, no, it's not his fault, he's king, he's nothing to do with Andrew? 0207 862 2222. See you in a moment. Before the break, we asked, why is a new silver coin featuring the late Queen being mocked online? Is it because Elizabeth is spelt wrong, she looks like Mrs. Doubtfire, or she's missing an eye? Actually, it's the Doubtfire. Told it's a $5 coin. It's a strange thing. Let's have a look here.
Oh.
I don't know.
I can't see it.
Mouth.
The mouth. Yeah.
The mouth isn't right. But yeah, $5 though. Interesting. We're going to take a few more calls on whether Starmer can carry on as Prime Minister because loads of people calling. Andrew in London, can he?
Yes, he can, yes. I just think this is the most vile witch hunt. From the day he walked into number 10, this has been non-stop. And I just believe that let him get on with the job. Let him get on with the job that he was elected to do. And Labour should man up or woman up and sort themselves out. And can we bad or not, employed a man who goes around and says that he doesn't see enough white faces in the town and she accuses Keir Starmer of bad judgment. I mean,
Hang on, who's the man?
Jenrick. I think it's Jenrick.
Oh, Robert Jenrick. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Jenrick.
Okay, he's gone to reform now.
And to think that after 14 years, the general public should wake up. This is not a quick fix, however you look at it. Yes, we've got a lunatic in the White House. This is not a quick fix. Whoever comes in after Keir Starmer is going to have problems. So we need to deal with the problem.
That's very wise.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you. Dave in Essex, what do you think?
Yeah, hello there. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, he will go. All I'd like to say is, they use the word mistake. If you come out of a petrol station and the road's one way, you normally turn left. But if you turn right, that is a mistake. You made a mistake because you turned right down a one-way street.
Yeah.
He knew he was hanging around with a paedophile. Why give him the job? He knows his form.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And not only that...
I think the only thing I could say is that at the time there wasn't a big hoo-ha because we didn't know, we hadn't seen the birthday cards, we hadn't seen all the pally conversation, my friend yum yum and all that. We hadn't seen the leaking. Dave?
True. But he knew he was in touch with a paedophile. Why would you want to employ him? Why would you want him near you?
Well said, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. John in London, do you think Starmer is done?
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, John.
Should Starmer go? The answer is yes. He's lost his backbencher support and has to do U-turns on almost all of his decisions. He's got no backbone to fight off his opponents, and the sooner he goes, the better.
Yeah.
As for who will replace him, surely not Angela Rayner.
Well, who's it going to be then, John?
Well, I think he should call a general election.
Oh, gosh.
And he will go.
I think we are going to end up... Are we going to have an election this year?
There's a general election. I will go, John. I will go somewhere else.
Another one.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the point, is that when you take over in those circumstances, you always get told you're not elected. John, thank you. Mike in Glasgow. Is Starmer through?
No, he's got to carry on, Jeremy. We've got a country to run. The Mandelson affair is something which will be dealt with by the police and the relevant authorities in Parliament. Let the Prime Minister get on with the job. You mentioned earlier on the number of Prime Ministers we've had recently.
Yeah.
Did that do us any favours? Not in the least. Did they have bad judgment? Of course they did. Every Prime Minister in my lifetime has made bad calls. Starmer's no exception. But we've got a country to run. We've got to get on with it.
OK, thank you very much, Mike. Yeah, it just reminds me when Rishi Sunak took over from Liz Truss and he said, I want to congratulate Miss Truss for having led the country through a difficult time. Great line.